I'm Lynn Cunningham. I have bipolar disorder, which, like many other people with bipolar, I consequently have concurrent addictions issues. I suppose I basically needed somebody who would properly diagnose what the issue was, because I'd been taking antidepressants of one kind or another since the early 90s, and we're 10 years later. And they essentially weren't doing the right thing, because it wasn't just a depression issue that I had. And so I really needed somebody to diagnose properly and consequently manage the medication properly. I mean, I've been lucky because I come from a journalism background, and so I'm really good at finding things out, and I'm really good at finding the right people. And in fact, at one point with the earlier MD, I basically referred myself. I got his OHIP billing number. He gave me the number, and pulled up all the necessary paper, and ended up with the psychopharmacologist I continued to see at CAMH. It would have made my life substantially easier if when things started getting critical in the 90s, that either my MD had referred me to the right person, since that was what he did best, or paid enough attention long enough to realize that there was an issue. I also recall talking to him at one point saying, listen, I think I'm drinking too much. And it sort of went, pew. I mean, I essentially didn't get any response, which was sort of strange, I'd say. I needed somebody who, in that case, literally heard me. I mean, to address the issue of the alcohol, which undoubtedly was creating a problem. I mean, if the antidepressants were the right medication, but the alcohol and the antidepressants together were clearly a bad combo. Any assistance with my previous quit drinking phase. I mean, basically I was on my own in that regard, and made some bad choices in terms of treatment. I lasted one day at a 12-step program, and they said, "Whoa, you've got too many issues. We can't deal with you, out the door." So I was sort of on my own when it came to quitting drinking, which I did for a decade. I mean, which is why it's all the more goofball that I've decided, oh, I'll just have a drink of wine. Bad mistake. One of the things that has proved to be really, really valuable in the last period from 2004, so for the last 10 years, is people who I'm dealing with talking to one another. Really, really important. And someone who was pretty central back in that period was an MD who was a counselor. She wasn't treating physical issues, but she was a counselor. She continued to be an MD, and she was very good at coordinating with talking to the doctor I see here. And he currently is talking to my GP, my real GP, and that's, I think, really a critical component of the process. It helps because each has his or her own piece of the puzzle. I'm not necessarily going to be, I'm not going to be saying the same thing to everyone I see, and sometimes things that don't seem all that important to me may be of value for each to know.